Good afternoon, everybody. That's really loud. I apologize. I have one of those voices that carries anyway, and that did not help.
Is that any better?
So if you were asleep, you're awake now. You're welcome. And here we go. Thanks for making it over. We really appreciate it. My name is Ryan Leslie. I'm with DealerRater, and I'm presenting today with Mike Davenport. You may know Mike better as the Louisville Chevy Dude from Bachman Chevrolet. So we're going to talk a lot about what Mike's doing and how Mike is, how many cars are you selling on average right now per month?
27 right now.
27 right now. Mike has been a consistent performer. One of the reasons that we're sharing together is because he's found ways to leverage reviews and market himself in ways that are compelling. And I think there's a lot of takeaways for you as a dealership to take back to your store and try to replicate some of the success that Mike has had. So without any further ado, we're going to jump into what we're going to be talking about today. I have 3 core objectives for you. Hopefully we accomplish those by the time we finish today. And those objectives are, I want to review some recent stats. There have been some very recent studies, actually as of August of this year, for Bright Local that are compelling, and those establish the whys. If Mike stands up here and just tells you all the cool stuff he's doing, it'll be a little like a magic trick or like a parlor trick, and you'll have your socks will fall off, you'll be excited, but then you'll go home and not know why what he's doing is working. So we have to establish those whys before we can get to the house. You got to understand and apply the life cycle of reviews. If you remember back to freshman biology class, bullfrogs and butterflies have a life cycle. So do your reviews. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But it's a very cyclical nature when you talk about reviews and how we encourage salespeople to ask for them and also leverage them. So we'll talk about that. And lastly, and most of our time is going to be spent on the tactical initiatives that Mike is undergoing. I want you to take home some of those hows. I was sitting on the couch with my wife, and let me tell you this. I'm going to fly through this part so we can get to Mike, but I need to establish those whys for you pretty quickly. Sitting on the couch with my wife, we were watching TV. We do that occasionally, and a commercial came on, and I wanted to share it with you because it caught my attention.
I Heart Dogs rates this dishwasher very highly.
But Set Lover 83 didn't like the heated dry cycle.
Well, Dreadlock Kitty loves the Turbo Zone spray jets. And Peanut Bubbles 44 agrees.
I trust Peanut Bubbles 44.
Me too.
Did we just say we trust Peanut Bubbles 44?
Yep.
Don't go it alone. Sears Appliance experts will help you find the top brands, including Kenmore. Sears, house experts for homeowners.
As a guy that makes his living with reviews, this one made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. You can probably understand that. Head scratcher, right? Here's my thoughts. What is Sears, a company that everybody knows this brand, they've heard this name before, why are they spending money running an ad campaign to try to diffuse online reviews? What's going on here? Why do they feel the need to do that? It really is a head scratcher if you think about it, and what I would suggest to you, Sears is stymied by Peanut Bubbles 44. They can't figure out why a review from an anonymous source is as important to you as a consumer as what their salespeople are saying in the store. They haven't figured that out. If you look at their share price and they've got some things they need to figure out. In the last 5 years, it's dropped about 50%. So they've got some serious issues they need to work through, and they're trying to figure out how this new online reviews and how all of this new stuff that's going on is impacting their business. They should read the Harvard Business Review, because Harvard Business Review nailed it with an article called What Marketers Misunderstand About Online Reviews. I know we're the last session of the day, and you've been listening to a bunch of people talk at you for 2 days, and your brain's probably hurt. So rather than read this article to you, I thought I would try to give you a little illustration. So maybe, Mike, if you can help me find 3 volunteers, then we could go ahead and work through this. 3 volunteers? Anybody, I'm not picky.
How about you? And
I need you to come up here, because you're going to be a visual representative of something for me. Okay. I left my clicker over here. Just stand right here in front. I know 2 of the 3 of these people. This is my friend Tim Grimes. Tim, you're going to represent a part of the purchase influence mix called previous experience. What the Harvard Business Review said is there's 3 different things that impact that purchase influence mix. There's three different things. The first one is your prior experiences. How you feel about a brand. If you've used a certain toothpaste before, how did it work for you? Did you like it? So that's your previous experience. Now, it's a zero-sum game. The three things work together, but you can't improve one and have it not impact the other. So I picked up some chips from Bally's to represent previous experience. Do you mind handing me that smaller stack over there? Two of those smaller stacks. This will work out beautifully, trust me. Your name, sir? Dan. You get to be marketing material. In the purchase influence mix, you are owned media. You're what you say about you. You're those radio ads, those TV ads, those things that we put out into the market that we hope people will be motivated by. So I'm going to give you a larger stack. And Heather, you get to be, I'm going to actually give you some more. Let's say this is 2005. So previous experience is going to matter more than it did before. Oh, lost one. Okay, Heather, you get to be input of others. You get one. It's 2005. This is what the purchase influence mix looks like. Sears loves this, right? My marketing matters. I can put these ads out there and people respond to them. My previous experiences matter. They know they bought from me before. It worked good. Had a good experience. So fast forward to 2015 and our piles shift a little bit. Who did I say was input of others? All of a sudden, you're taking from marketing. He said, hey, you're taking from previous experience. And now look at our piles. See what's happened? Zero-sum game. So you can't take from one. You can't grow one of these three without shrinking the other two. This is what's happening to Sears, and this is why they're so impacted by online reviews and what others are saying about you as a business. So thank you very much. Hopefully you see zero-sum game. You can't improve one without reducing the others. Thank you, and sit down. Keep your chips as volunteers. Yeah, I hope you have a good time and double your money. That's it. No, not a short joke at all. You just were unfortunately marketing material. Everybody trusts marketing material, right? That's been your experience? Maybe next time. All right, so let's talk about the 4 Ps. We're going to move through this again. We want to get to asking Mike some questions. There's 4 Ps, 4 things that start with P, that are impacting your marketing. It's what the consumer cares about before they step foot across your threshold. That first P is product. I started in the business 13 years ago. I was taking pictures with Dealer Specialties. Back then, we were excited because we were able to stitch together 4 photographs and put them into the real estate of 1. This was revolutionary. You need clear pictures. You need to market your product. You need seller's notes. These are all things you already know. The second P, price. Also along that same lines and at that same time point, call for price was good enough, right? We could generate a phone call by putting call for price. How many of you list your vehicles online right now with call for price? A couple? On all of them or just a couple? All of them? Okay. Is that working well for you? Okay. We could talk afterwards. You weren't supposed to say that, by the way. Most people, I should have used you as an example and given you chips so you didn't say that. For most markets, call for price means too expensive. For me as a consumer, if I see call for price, I'm moving on to the very next one because I'm not going to make that phone call. If it's working for you, that's great. I don't know how long it will because I think the consumer is moving towards the idea of I want to know more before I commit to coming in. Third P is place. As a dealership, there's the who's, the where's, the when's, the how's. What makes you different than other dealerships on Dealer Row? Are you doing extended warranties? Are you selling primarily CPO cars? What kind of stuff do you do? Do you have a nail salon that you have open during the week? What kind of stuff are you doing that makes you different? Here's the 4th P, and what we're really going to be talking about the most today. It's a person. Who, where, when, why, and how. How is it that Mike is closing business and generating his own leads, and he's got, what percentage of your business year to date did you say was?
49.6%.
49.6% of his business year to date, selling an average of 27 cars, is coming from his own efforts or from repeat referral. How is that happening, right? right? Would you like to have a guy like Mike at your store? I think by the end of this session, you would love to have a guy like Mike at your store. What differentiates Mike? What we're seeing and what we're finding is that the consumer wants to know who they're going to work with. We all have a weak link in our chain. So when I read dealership reviews, if I'm the consumer that's reading reviews about a guy like Mike, but I come in and get a guy like Tim, my experience is very different than what I read about online. They know that. They know that there's weak links in a chain, and they know they want to work with a certain person. Here's my contention to you. Here's what I think. No, none of you, I'm not going to ask about price, but none of you would list a car without a picture right now. I think it will be just as crazy to us in 3 years that we were not marketing our people as well as we could. I think that will be just as weird to us as the idea of putting cars out there online without a picture. We're going there, and we need to prepare for that. And if that means hiring better, if that means bringing on people that can treat your customers the way you want to treat them, that's going to be the next step in the thing that you need to do. I would tell you employees are more important than your inventory. You're turning inventory every 60 days. God forbid you're turning your employees every 60 days. We certainly don't want that. But how much effort goes into marketing your employees? How much marketing are your employees doing for themselves? Probably not enough. Here's some things to write down. This is a great first step. I'm showing you a DealerRater page, but this applies to a Meet the Staff page. As I go through the web and I look at dealership sites, friends, that is some of the worst real estate on the website, I think, for completeness. There's often gray silhouettes. There's people that don't work there anymore. There's no salespeople listed at all. There's a lot of areas and opportunity for improvement on the Meet the Staff page. So what's Mike doing, and what does a good Meet the Staff page look like? Well, you got to have a bio. You got to have that compelling, what makes you different. Mike's going to talk about some of those things. Why do you do what you do? What motivates you as a salesperson to sell cars and help people? Let me give you a quick tip off of my script here for bios. If you go to your staff and say, hey, write me a bio, you're going to get probably not what you want out of most of them, right? So let's make it easy for them. Here's the 5 questions I want you to answer about yourself. Why do you do this? What do you drive? What was your favorite car? Things that make them real. What we're looking for in a bio is I want to be able to understand who this person is and feel like I know them before I pick up the phone to call. So give them 5 questions, let them answer it. Who's your favorite superhero? You can do some kind of cool and creative stuff that will make your salespeople stand out and differentiate from others in the market. Current content. You need new reviews every day or two. Bright Local just put out a stat, 44% of consumers that read reviews say that if it's more than 30 days old, it's no longer relevant. They want content within a month. That's what they're looking for. Your salespeople need to be focused on getting new content every day or two. You're awesome. You've served a lot of people and done a great job. How do I get a hold of you? You need to have contact info. You need to have phone number. You need to have email address for that salesperson. Great headshots. I think I borrowed this from Kevin Fry. If you look like a felon, you won't get a phone up. So many of the pictures on Meet the Staff pages are backed way up so I can get the buildings, whatever, in there, and the person's tiny and small and gray and I can't see them. That's not compelling. Think of it like an online dating site. I think there was a session about this, but that actually applies here. If I can get to see who you are and get to know you a little bit, that will help me to make that decision to contact you. And lastly, video. I'm not going to steal your thunder on some of the video stuff you're doing. We're going to talk about this at length, but it's an important medium. Let me throw this out real quick. How many of you are using a Carfax or an auto check for putting history reports with your used vehicles? Everybody? Most of you? Why do we do that? Why is that important to a consumer? Yeah, it's confidence, it's peace of mind, it's trust, right? I would say that your online reviews for your salespeople, very similar to that. Think again in terms of marketing your inventory and marketing your salespeople. If I've got a bump in the road, I'm showing you one here with a negative or with a response. I've got the opportunity to respond there. We should be responding to all reviews on all different websites, or all different review sites rather. I can see a consistent history. I can see that it's the equivalent of service history. A vehicle, a used vehicle that's been into the shop and been serviced by your dealership has an increased inherent value over one that doesn't. Same thing's true with your salespeople for the consumer. If they can see that history of great performance and really exceeding people's expectations, they have an increased inherent value to that consumer too. That brings us to life cycle of reviews. I'm going to let you look at this for just a second, and then Mike and I are going to dig in and talk about each one of these steps. The important thing that you know about it is a life cycle. These things are connected. When we leverage reviews, The consumer reads them. When they read them, they're reading to choose a salesperson. When they choose that salesperson and the salesperson provides an excellent experience, the salesperson asks for the review in the right way, they generate a new review and it completes the cycle. If your salespeople understood that the review they ask for, the review they solicit from that consumer might be the impetus for the next sale, how much more likely are they to be asking and asking better and asking consistently? And Mike's done that through his history. So let's break these down. I'm going to start with the easiest one. I don't think I'll get any objections to this. I was a little surprised about one of the objections I got earlier, but 92% of people, this is Bright Local, say consumers are reading online reviews. 44%, same stat I showed you a moment ago for Bright Local, has to be relevant. Within a month is what they consider relevant. And 70% of car buyers are saying that online dealership reviews influence where they buy. Does anybody think reviews aren't important? Anybody? Anybody at all? Nobody? Okay, so we can move on from this and get into the other stuff. I don't have to convince you of that. Let's talk about consumers choosing the salesperson because of their reviews. I'm going to brag on Mike for 2 seconds and then I'm going to let him talk. Mike was my first certified employee. He was the one that really kind of took this to the next level, started leveraging reviews. He's got 235 right now. 239. Sorry, my. Did you notice he also knows exactly how many and probably when he got the very last one? Next closest person to him has 10% of the review content he has. As a consumer, yeah, who are you going to want to call? You know, who are you asking for when you pick up the phone, right? So, Mike, talk a little bit about this. We talked about this Auto Trader Consumer Insight study that said 73% of people are actually willing to drive further to work with a great salesperson. 65% from that same study said they would drive further for a lower price. Are you finding that to be true? What evidences of that are you seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. That same study says that out of the 4,020 people that they surveyed, 6 likes the way they buy a car. And that's a huge stat to why I do stuff like this, because if you don't like the way you buy something, why do you want to do it? Why, who wakes up on a Saturday morning and says, you know what, it's a beautiful day out, let's go buy a car and deal with that brain damage all day? Nobody wants to do that. So you have to change the way people look at it and how to have that different experience. And when you can prove to somebody that, hey, I do create that experience, now they may get up and say, you know what, it's not that bad of a deal. We're going to go in and buy a car real quick and then we can get on to other things. And we're all too busy to set at a dealership for 4 or 5 plus hours. So now this makes it very, very simple.
The stats about driving further, what's the furthest away that you've sold a car because of your reviews?
In the United States?
How about it? Yeah, in the United States
you can drive.
All right, in the United States first. What's the furthest away?
All four tips. Tips of Texas, tips of California, tips of Florida, East Coast, New York, Maine. And then I got a client in South Korea. Bought a brand new Corvette, all because he saw me on the internet.
How did that conversation go? He just called you up and said, "Hey, I saw you on the internet." What?
Pretty much.
That's what happened.
Yeah. I just took a deposit on another Corvette Friday, and this guy's out of Seattle, Washington, and he found me based off reviews, and he called me, and this is where changing the car business, changing that buying cycle of the customer is very, very simple, because this guy picked up his phone, he called my personal cell phone number, and he said, "Hey Mike, this is so and so. I'm from Seattle. I saw your reviews online." And now, instead of him calling the dealership, "Can I talk to somebody in sales?" Okay, hold 1 second. Who knows how long they're going to be on hold. Then they pick up sales, and this guy has no trust. What's the reason somebody calls the dealership? They're looking for somebody to buy a car from. They're not calling. They're checking for availability, and they want to find somebody to do business with. So now I've taken the whole part of in trust, do I want to deal with this person, to I'm just going to call Mike. And that's where it's huge, because now he's already envisioned what I look like, because he sees me on everything I possibly can do with putting my face out there. But he knows exactly who I look like. He knows exactly what my voice sounds like. And he's just like, "Mike, what about this? What about that? Okay, let's do it. I'm wiring you the money right now." And that was, and I said, so after I texted him, I said, "Hey, I just want to check one thing." Yeah, because I knew I had this coming up. "You did say you found me based off reviews." And he said yes. And as us all in the car business, we all know Nobody out there gets a mini deal. It's all 4, 5, 6 pounders. We rip their heads off. That all happens. So I always tell everybody, anything that I talk about, I can prove it. Because that's the key is we don't need any smoke and mirrors on, hey, this is what you should do. We all had those managers or those salespeople who say they can do this, and they're selling 10 a month. So that's where it's huge that you can sit there and prove it, because your consumers want proof too that you're good at what you do.
How many of you have had a customer come in and ask for one of your salespeople by name? It happens all the time. The first time I heard it, it blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. And now I hear it so much that if you're a dealership and that hasn't happened, that surprises me more, frankly, that you haven't had that happen. If your consumer is writing reviews that get the name of the salesperson in them, that's a great, great goal. Let's move to the next step in the cycle here. This is probably my favorite one to talk about. So what has to happen in the cycle is that when the customer comes in, they have a buying experience, a consumer experience that matches the reviews they've read. The life cycle breaks immediately if they come in and it's not anything like what they've read about. They're headed for the door. So this is how I actually got to know Mike. Arnold Tahirna introduced us, and we had the opportunity to meet and talk. But I was just floored by some of the things he's doing. So, Mike, can you talk for a few minutes about how you make sure that the consumer has the kind of experience that they've read about from your reviews online? What kind of stuff are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I always put this out there. I'm not into the BDC. I'm not taking any BDC ups. I'm not fleet. Everything I do is I walk right on that floor that's right there in that picture. I've been in the business for 16 years, did every possible position, GSM, new car, used car manager, F&I, and in 2010 I decided I don't want to be a manager anymore. I weathered through the economy, and it was very, very hard to get those mediocre salespeople to come in and not call in when the new Madden came out or the new MLB came out, or they stayed up too late on a Friday to drink or whatever the case may be. U of L, UK, down where I live, those games are on Saturdays, so people don't come in or they're watching games. So I decided, you know what, I need to take this to a different level. I'm just going to work for myself. And I've always thought of myself as a realtor. Realtors work for themselves. They've got a desk, they've got a phone, but that's about it. Nothing else is provided to them. And that's the way I look at myself. And we've all heard this business inside of a business, in the car business. So I just always going to create an environment because I want those customers to remember me. And why do I want them to remember me? Because I don't want to just sell you one car. I want to sell you multiple cars. I want to sell your family cars. I want to sell your friends, your coworkers. And I want posts like this that this customer put up in March, which I got another one yesterday from another customer because of their experience.
Tell them what's going on.
So what I do in every one of my customers' cars is I put a $2 bill in their gas tank, and I put a personal note on that, just saying, hey, congratulations. This line up here is always the same. Here's a couple bucks toward your first tank, and the third line is always the same thing. You are a gas to work with because it's in their gas tank. And the backstory of this girl, she went dealer to dealer to dealer to dealer. She was a fresh up on my lot, and once I heard that she goes from dealer to dealer to dealer, and she's been getting bad experience, nobody pulled her credit. She was a 780 credit score, and she could buy anything that she wanted, but her looks did not make you think that she was a 780 credit score. So once I heard that, I was like, okay, perfect. I just need to do what I do every day. I just got to treat her like she's a rock star. It's exactly what I did. And then after the fact, now there's that. She had a problem with her car about a week after or so, maybe it's 2 weeks. And she was like, okay, I understand. But now imagine you don't create that experience, and that same problem happens. Now it's an argument. Sometimes, it still happens every day. And then the picture on the left, I just do everything I can with the customers. I roll out the red carpet for them when they're in F&I. I'll put the carpet in there, take a picture with them, post it on their Facebook, send it to them in email so that they can have it. Make postcard or make calendars every so often. I put them in there and send it to their house. So I do quite a bit of things for prospecting tools back to me as well, and they all love it. I'm always getting feedback from customers about how positive everything I do for them is.
That's a figurative and a literal rolling out of the red carpet. Where did you get the red carpet from, and do you mind sharing that?
Yeah, Amazon, $70. That's how much it cost me. And buy the good ones, because I've seen some people I got a lot of salespeople who follow me on Facebook, which everybody can friend me on Facebook, and I'll accept. And I've seen some pretty chintzy ones, and it's worth it to spend the $70 because there are some out there that are 10 and 20, but that one's 70 and it's worth it.
You don't want the customer taking a nosedive on their way to their car.
Yeah.
It's probably good. All right, we'll move to the next one. We can pick Mike's brain a little more on some questions about that in a second. So asking the consumer to share their story, this is something that we talked about when we first met, and you made a change to the way you were asking. Will you share with everybody what that was and
yeah, absolutely.
What your results were?
Where do we not go nowadays? We're asked to write a review. You got Sears. I just bought something from Sears. I've never bought anything from Sears in my life. Changed the way we parked our cars. I bought a $10 thing that shoots a little laser beam down on my floor, so I know where to park every day. My gosh, the emails the emails that I got from them: write a review, and from everywhere else. So everybody's asking to write a review. So we communicated one day about a year and a half ago, and he says, "Don't ask for a review because everybody's asking for a review. Ask them to write a story." I'm like, oh man, that's perfect. Why do we want them to ask to write a story? The reason we want them to write a story is because this is a story, this is a review. One line, or just like on my post that she wrote an entire paragraph of how awesome I am. And she put that on her wall, tagged me in it, and other people seen it. And I promise you I'll sell a car off of that post back in March. So yeah, write a story, not a review. And also, well, hopefully this doesn't sound pitchy, but because I'm not with DealerRater. But when you're a member of their organization and do the reviews, they give you postcards that says, please write a review. And I hand that to them as soon as they're walking out the door. Or every car gets delivered off the showroom floor. So I was like, hey, can you do me a personal favor? And they're like, oh yeah, absolutely. Because I've done the red carpet, I've taken the picture with them, and everything else. Can you do me a personal favor? Yes. Would you be so kind to write a story based off your experience with me and the dealership? And they automatically say yes, no problem. Here's a card, here's a website address. However, I'm going to send you an email with the link in there as well. So not only do I ask them right then and there, give them that card, because that card goes in with all their paperwork and all the other junk and OnStar stuff that you get with new cars, and it just sits in the glove box and it's forgotten about. So my thank you letter, or my thank you email that I send out to them, says, hey, remember I asked you for a personal favor? Could you please click this link and write your story down? And it happens all the time.
Think about, it's more than semantics. What's happening when I ask you to share a story is very different than when I ask you to write me a review. I think a lot of our salespeople are saying, write me a review. If I put you on a pedestal and give you the opportunity to look good and look smart because you made a good buying decision and a good purchase experience was created because you worked with me, I'm much more likely to do that than I am to do something for you because you asked me. It's more than semantics. I think there's a great opportunity for us to talk about share the story. Let's move to the next. And this is one that Mike does extremely well. Leveraging reviews in your sales process. I'm showing you all DealerRater stuff, but don't get fixated on that. That was what I had available to show you. What we're talking about is not specific to DealerRater. I don't want anybody to think that this is a giant pitch. That's not what we're here to do. So, Mike, tell a little bit about this customer and kind of some of the things that you do with reviews.
This customer, same thing. They've been shopping. They were at our Volkswagen store. I can sell at that store. The salesperson that they talked to can sell at my store. They were at my Volkswagen store, and they were in town, and they put, I think, Hebron, Kentucky. They were in town looking for cars because they were in town for a softball event. Okay, so we've all had that. We've all had that up. Oh, I'm just in town for an event, and you're like, gosh, dang it, that's not me. I'm not that way. So she was 18, getting ready to go to Alabama for college, and she was in town for softball, and I found her a car and sold it to her because she was at dealer to dealer to dealer to dealer, and I changed that buying experience for her. And that's the story that her dad, which is behind the car, because he didn't want to be in the picture, and I don't give people a choice. You have to be in the picture. So I was like, well, how about this? Boom. And it says right there, she looked at a Cruze, Civic, Jetta, Focus, etc. And I think the biggest thing is that Jetta, a salesperson at my store, at my Volkswagen store, could have sold her a car. And it's amazing.
Yep, just missed the opportunity. How do you feel like reviews are helping you in that initial conversation when they make a phone call? What's your, just anecdotally?
If everything in my store goes through a BDC, so we don't get phone ups at my store, and I wouldn't take a phone up anyways. But if I talk to a new person on a lot, and the lot ups that I take, okay, this is my store, the lot ups that I take are the receptionist saying available sales, you're needed, you have a guest in the showroom. That's how I take lot ups. I'm sitting at my desk all day long doing stuff, and I'm taking the ups that nobody has gotten on the lot, available sales, you have a guest in the showroom. And that's exactly what happened with these folks. I'm not on the lot, thank goodness I'm not on the lot, but I do still take ups. So doing that, it makes a huge deal to take that person and go through the process and make it very, very simple for them and make it fun for them as well.
It establishes trust.
Yep.
So we surveyed a bunch of other people kind of like Mike. Mike's the cream of the crop. I feel like I'm puffing him up a little bit, but it's true. He does things better than everybody else. But when we surveyed, there were some interesting stats. This isn't just working for Mike at his store. It's working for 400 different employees like him at different stores. The sales process is faster when you involve your reviews. There's more trust, less objections. That's what we're seeing happening. And people are reporting that they're actually selling more cars because they're introducing that experience from other people. Remember back to our purchase influence mix, the goofy example that kind of sort of half worked. Input of others matters, and it matters more than what you say about you. And if you're tapping into that, that'll help you to sell more cars. It absolutely will. It's no longer about what I told you I would do. It's about what others tell you has been done for them. And that's what Mike's experiencing.
It's always mattered. When growing up, back in the 90s and 80s and stuff like that, we'd always just ask our family, ask your grandpa, ask your mom, where should I do? What should I do? And I forgot about this because I put my hand in my pocket. On the back of my business cards, when I meet a new customer like that, it says, don't take my word for it, Google me. And because I've got all these reviews online, if they haven't done that yet, now I can sit here as like, I want to help you buy a car, and I hand my business card just this way. I never hand it this way. I always hand it with my Louisville Chevy Dude logo and saying Google me.
I had an interesting thought on that earlier. I wonder if when a consumer is sitting across the desk from you, or any salesperson, if they're Googling you then. If I'm going to hop in the car with you to go on a test drive, I kind of want to know a little bit about you. Like, did you just get released from prison or anything like that? That's important to me, right? So when that happens, I've looked at this for Mike. I think you own the top 3 or 4 organics, right? And one of those is reviews, and one's your own personal website and your YouTube channel.
If you type in my name, if you type in just Mike Davenport, there's 10 of them on there, and I have 6, I think.
Yeah. So that's another. Everybody trusts Google. So what's in Google and organic for sure, that's got some value that's inherent.
And because it's just my name, there's no even ads on when you Google me, there's no ads on it. And I can't Google. You had it up on the other day. And you can't Google yourself from your computer very often because you're logged in on Google or whatever, so it knows who you are. So it's going to give you false views. So you have to look at other stuff. So I'll grab my kids' phones and do it every once in a while because I just want to know what's out there. So that way I can use that phrase.
So Mike's doing stuff other than reviews too, and I wanted to share some of that with you so you can kind of pick his brain a little bit. Let's talk about your personal YouTube channel.
Yep.
How many? I know this slide's dated too.
Yeah,
What are you at right now?
2.3 million views on YouTube.
And how many subscribers?
Just a couple under 5,000 subscribers. And the great thing about subscribers is when I push content to YouTube, which I try to do every couple days, they get an email and says, Mike Davenport just pushed this to YouTube, and it's amazing. And I surprised my wife with a new Corvette a month and a half or so ago. And it was a brand new color. Color wasn't even, I ordered this car back in April, but they didn't start building it until August. So delivered it to her, and we got done cleaning it. So I decided I'm going to do a video of the car and the color and get really, really close to it, like right down here to show the color. And I put that up, and overnight it got 1,000 hits because it was a brand new color, and because I pushed it out there and I tagged it the color name and everything else like that. And that's what's huge. And I get a lot of leads when he talked about people, coming to me. I get a lot of leads from YouTube as well, and all that is free. I had to buy a camera. I use my iPhone now. I got an iPhone 6S, and that shoots in 4K now. I just bought a little selfie thing to hold the camera steady, but outside of those couple of expenses, it's free. So, and those are, you already got a phone in your pocket, so you don't even have to do that. But that's what I do a lot too, and that works really, really well. And then we got my social media, my Facebook up there.
Let's stay on YouTube for a second, because I'm sure people are wondering kind of how you got started doing that. What was your first video? Do you remember?
Really what took it off, it wasn't really my first video. I was kind of doing it just to do it. But my first video that took off is I learned how to do how-to videos. How-to is the biggest thing out there. Don't go out there and pitch. Don't go out there and sell. I still do that on my videos, because I just say, hey, I'm going to be the top guy in the country. Make sure you call me. That's about all I do. But the video content is something of value. It's hey, this is how you do this. This is how you do that. Universal home remote. That was the huge one that I've got. I think that's got 200,000 hits on it. So how to program your universal home remote in your garage, for your garage door.
Didn't you do one about how to get in and out of a Corvette correctly too?
Yeah. So, the first one was everybody started whining about how you close the deck lids of the Corvette, that they don't do it, and none of these Corvette guys want to do this to close their trunk, so they don't want to put their hands on their car. So I did a video on that, and that thing just started getting pushed all around everywhere on forums and stuff like that in September of 2013, and that's really what started it really well, because you can see when I joined about a year prior to that, in August of 2012, and that's where I started. I was kind of doing this a different seminar, but all my branding stuff that I do, I was kind of doing that about 2 years prior to that as well. But no, YouTube is a huge thing, and how-tos, and just show your customers what to do.
We're getting to the Q&A part here, so I'm going to ask a few, and then I want to start taking from you guys too. I didn't really go through some of these questions with Mike, so he's getting them cold. So you're going to get to really see what he thinks. What do you think was your biggest? What are you most proud of all the stuff you've done? What do you think your biggest accomplishment has been with your own personal branding? Reviews or videos or different. What worked really well that surprised you?
All of it works well. All of it, when you do all of it, the more things you do, the luckier you get. That's plain and simple. Just the more stuff that I do, the luckier I get. I think the good response to that is that I'm always amazed when someone calls me, or every day I get up and I've got an email from somebody or a text message from somebody. That's probably the accomplishments that I really enjoy, because every day I get up and I may not have any appointments, and all of a sudden I get 2 text messages from people looking to buy cars, or I get up at 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning to go to the gym, and I got text messages from 2 o'clock in the morning, people up all over the country, and hey, I saw you on YouTube, or I saw this, or I saw your reviews, and
Tell about the will you tell about the Facebook deal that you negotiated, the one that surprised you?
Yeah. So this kid, when I say kid, 16 years old, Facebook messages me on my personal page, and started talking to me about Corvettes. And I said, no problem, I got one coming in, blah, blah, blah. So got the deal done, $105,000 car, and I never looked at his profile, but I talked to his dad, 16-year-old kid. I negotiated a deal on Facebook, and I have another one too. I have another one right now. The kid's down in Alabama, wants to buy a Camaro from me, and he puts in his text message. He just texts me, and he says, "I'm 16. I hope that doesn't matter." I said, "No, it doesn't matter. I don't care." I told him that. I sold a $106,000 car to a 16-year-old kid. I don't care. They're all buyers.
So you're not pre-qualifying, is what I'm hearing you say.
No, I do pre-qualify, but not for that.
I'm sure a lot of people are a little nervous about, one of the things we hear a lot is that they're a little nervous about letting salespeople kind of go out and brand themselves. What would you say to a manager or an owner in the audience about, with a few minutes, what would you say to them about that, about letting a salesperson do the things that you do? How'd you convince your boss to let you do it?
Well, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission.
Yeah. That's not what they want to hear.
My wife's right back there. You can ask her. If you have a good relationship, then they shouldn't care. If the dealer can get out of the old school of, hey, what if he leaves? He's going to steal business from me, blah, blah, blah. But, at the same side, and it's said over and over again, but what if he or she stays? What if he or she stays with my company and does exactly what I'm doing? Because I probably have 1,000 salespeople on my Facebook page that I talk to all the time. I don't get any money out of it. I'm just doing my thing to change the industry just a little bit, just to make it easier, because 80%, 90% of us do the right thing. It's the 10% that is what makes us have a bad name. So when we have more and more people being visible and helping out and doing the right thing for customers, then that makes it just very, very simple to do this stuff.
That's good.
And that's why your dealership shouldn't care because of that, because we typically do the right thing.
Yep. What questions do you have for Mike?
What do your coworkers think of you?
Oh yeah, that's you can probably guess. They I wear these wristbands. I wear this black one. They were Grant Cardone stuff. I wear 2 black ones, and this one here says "Don't be a little bitch," and I wear 2 of them because I'll take this one off and I'll hand one to somebody. I'm like, here you go, you need this. The other 2 top guys that are with me, they think it's cool because there's just not stuff that they're doing and they don't have interest in doing. But the guys who are selling 6 and 10 cars a month, they all hate me, which is fine. They don't pay my bills. So, outside of that, every manager, which I think is probably more important than what the sales guys think, every manager loves me. On a lot of my Corvette deals that I'm shipping, I sell my managers. I sell them, warranties up front. I can tell you a cost on a warranty on any Corvette for what year, because I got it all memorized because I sell so many. I sell it all before they get into F&I. So,
good.
What's your advice to a salesman that feels like they don't have that type of personality to get the videos like YouTubers where trying to convince them that this is the way that it's going, it's free marketing, you should really jump on this. The problem I'm having is them putting up this wall that they just don't want to.
you're looking at them. I'm a pretty introverted person, but when I came into the business in 2000, I didn't want to, but I needed to. And so something for me just clicks in my head when I cross that threshold of the dealership, just to go all out. Literally last night, if I didn't know some of the people at that party last night, I wouldn't have talked to one person. I would never walked up to talk to anybody. That's just my personality. But when I'm inside the dealership and I'm doing stuff that I enjoy and I love, it all comes out really, really simple. Just keep at it and keep pushing it, and learn to edit videos real easily. There's so many things out there that you can do it. Movie Maker, if you do Windows, I use Final Cut Pro. You have iMovie on Mac, so just edit it and just do it. Just look at it. And
that first success, I think, is what will keep them doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first time somebody walks in and says, "I'm not talking to Mike, I want to talk to this guy I read reviews about."
Obviously my brand's Chevy Dude, Louisville Chevy Dude. My receptionist all the time is like, "I got another call for the Chevy Dude." I'm like, and I said, "Did they ask me for that way?" "Yeah, they did." And because Bowling Green, Kentucky is so close to me, and most of my videos are all having to do with Corvettes, I'm always just trying to get that low-hanging fruit. And I know what a lot of dealers are doing in the country with Corvette sales. I sit there and go down to Bowling Green, and all the times I'm walking through there and somebody stops me, "Chevy Dude," and I'm like, "Where are you from?" "Texas." It's amazing. But you said it right. You said it better than I did. When you get that stuff, that's what makes it fun, and you just want to keep going. It's kind of like when I talked about earlier. If I get that text message or email, because this is my personal website on the left side with my picture on it and the Camaro up there. It's LouisvilleChevyDude.com, ChevyDude.com. I got a couple different domains that go to it, and so you can see under the bottom, to the right of the YouTube video, there's a form on there that somebody can put a lead into me, and it's just a four question form, and I get leads all day long, every day. Like that.
Because of how ethical, how strong you are, and all the reviews that selling is a non-factor now.
Yeah, I don't sell cars. I'm an order taker. I promise you that. I know how to close. You've got to learn how.
You actually have it closed.
Yeah, I do. I do. Everybody wants to come in and negotiate. But I still do close. But my credibility helps me out a ton. With Corvette sales, I don't have to close those. They're what are you going to do? And because the number one Corvette dealer prices cars so cheap, I can compete with that since I'm a larger dealer as well. Bachman Chevrolet is in the top 240 dealers in the country for Chevrolet, so we have quite a bit of inventory and can sell our cars at invoice when nobody else does. But yeah, it's I still have to close, but because it's my job. But it does give a lot of credibility.
In sales, we say give something of value before you ask for something of value. I think Mike typifies that. Any other questions as we're coming up on time? Maggie, do we got time for one more, or are we done? One more. Anybody got a really good give him a hard fastball. Somebody got something tricky? Go ahead.
Do you ever get negative?
I do have a couple 3 stars. Good luck finding them. So it happens. My CSI is 3.9 out of 4 right now.
What do you mean by good luck finding them?
They're so buried you can't find them. Yeah. So, but I'll leave you with this, and you can write this down. How many people are actually on the sales floor or BDC? Okay. So take this back and tell all your salespeople, owners. I know the owner over there. Take this back to your salespeople when they talk to somebody on the lot. Out of all the vehicles you've looked at online, why did you choose to come see this one? Because we know all the stats that we've seen the last 2 days. 26 websites, 1.6 dealers. Out of all the vehicles you've looked at online, why'd you choose to come look at this one? They will blurt it out. It's the closest one to my house. It's the right color. It's the lowest miles. It's the cheapest price. And that's how you close deals and not have to be, you can still be an order taker, because when you sit down and pencil a deal and they're like, well, we need $500. Well, wait a second. You told me before the demo ride. And you do this right as you're walking out to the car, by the way. You ask that right up front. You let them say it. You just keep moving on. But wait a second. You said before we drove this that this was the cheapest price. And you look at them. We got the best price. That's why you came here. And that'll help you sell more cars too.
That's good. I'm going to leave you with some takeaways. Remember those 4 Ps. Got to start marketing our people. We need to treat them better than we do our inventory. We're going to have them longer. Teach your team the life cycle of reviews. If they understand how this is a complete circle, when they ask and provide that great experience, consumers are going to read about them and ask to talk with them specifically. That'll help them to get better at asking. Strongly encourage you to change the semantics of make it more than semantics. Ask for them to share their story. You'll see a huge uptick in reviews from that. And lastly, embrace and encourage those individual marketing efforts. Something Subi Ghosh said in a session that stuck with me earlier. It all started to kind of blend together for you two, I'm sure. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, it was during the fire alarm.
Yeah, it was during the fire alarm. You're right. So that's why I got a little fuzzy. But she said, we're sitting in here wondering whether or not we should let guys like Mike do this. And what we should be doing is wondering how can we reimburse him for his efforts? Because he's making you a ton of money if you're letting him do what he does. And that should be what you leave with. So with that, are you one idea away? I think there's at least one idea that came out of this session from having the breakthrough that will help you to apply the other ones. And we'll leave you with that. So thank you very much for coming.